In this video, I will show you how and where me and my husband planted trees. Hi everyone, my name is Eva, and warm welcome to Plant with Great Vision, where I teach you how to maximize your chances of succeeding on your homestead. Today, I want to show you a snapshot of a part of our property and show you where we've planted the trees. You can see the area below our house. As this area has the mildest slope, we've decided to grow trees over here. The area further down is on a steeper slope, and we've planted some more drought-tolerant species there. The slope faces south, so each tree will have a good sun exposure, meaning the trees won't be shading each other. For some species like olives, almonds, pistachios, apricot, peach, figs, it is a good thing. For other species like apples, pears, plums, some sweet cherry trees, we want some partial shade, and we'll be planting near them nitrogen-fixing black locust, which in the first year will outgrow little fruit trees. I will now show you the animation so you can see exactly the layout. So it shows you all the trees we have planted so far. Some of them were planted in May this year. You can watch the video explaining why we've planted the trees so late. This should have never happened, but the trees thankfully survived the summer thanks to a permaculture technique called mulching. The moving waves in the animation represent three swales, which are uncompacted ditches with mounds on top of which grow trees. When we direct the rainwater from an irrigation pond to them, they will hold the water for a while, but after some time, the water will be slowly released below each mound through uncompacted soil. And such a system is usually applied to areas with fewer rain events and on slopes no steeper than 18 degrees. Below the swales, there is a slope steeper than 18 degrees, and that's why we couldn't install swales there. Instead, we positioned trees that do well on slopes due to the low moisture requirements. In terms of planting, the site where you want to plant a tree and prepare the area by removing the grass and then dig. In the end of the video, I will explain where we planted specific species and why, so stay tuned. And yes, you can ask your dogs for some help. The hole should be at least twice as big as the root ball of each tree, and it's more important to make the hole wider than deeper, as in the early stages of tree growth, the roots grow horizontally rather than vertically. And you should also ensure the tree is not buried too deep in the hole. And when digging the hole, remember that the soil level in container should match the soil level on the field. In case of bareroot plants, ensure the tree is not planted too deep. The soil should slightly cover the top roots. It is also important to loosen the bottom of the hole before planting a tree in it. Also ensure you move the roots that lived in a container a little bit as they grew around the container. Even if you break the roots that are thin, nothing bad will happen. We don't believe that filling the hole with compost is necessary, as minerals and good ingredients leach under the roots anyway with the force of gravity. It is especially important to not add any good soil mix for bare root trees, as the concentration of minerals could hurt such a young tree. Instead, we cover each tree with mulch on the ground level so the necessary ingredients are filtered through the normal soil. Right, so let me explain now what we've done and why. So let's consider the figs first. As a mature tree, it doesn't need much water. It can survive the hot summer without any watering. So the tree could be planted on slope or in areas where water doesn't stand for a long period of time. We've decided to plant 2 figs on the first swale on top. This swale can be reserved to trees with lower water requirements, as it is the first one to receive the rainwater from the irrigation pond above, and the water will be passed quickly to a lower swale, either naturally if it's a low level of rainwater, or through pipes if it's a larger amount that we don't want to keep there. The third fig is near the second swale from the top, and 5 other figs are on the slope to the right of the second and the third swales. It will be interesting to see the difference in taste of the figs planted on the swale versus the figs planted on slope alone. Next, we've got pomegranates. Similarly, 1 pomegranate is planted on the top swale, the second pomegranate on the second swale. Note, however, that the right part of the second swale acts as the first swale, as there is no other swale above it. That means some drought-resistant trees can be planted in that section. The last pomegranate is on slope near the second swale. Again, it will be interesting to note the difference in taste between them three. Next, we've got 3 almonds that are planted on slope next to figs. Almonds do require some watering, however, we decided to reserve some space on the swales for species that require more watering than almond trees. We plan to create a large rainwater tank just above the figs and almond trees, so it's easy to water them from above. Right, next we've got olive trees. They will thrive on our slope below the third swale, as their roots don't like too much water. The water will be passing through down the slope. They also don't like fertile soil, so we don't have to worry about putting much mulch around them. Instead, we will grow herbs that should enhance olive production. Next, we've got 3 pistachio trees on the slope near olives, as they don't require much watering as mature trees. Hazelnuts are also planted next to olives, but on the other side. They are also planted on slopes since they require a good drainage. Peach trees are planted just below the third swale on milder slope. It is almost a flat ground, just behind the third slope in that left section. They like more frequent watering, and they will be able to enjoy the moisture release from all 3 swales above them. Next, we've got apricot trees, which are located on the second swale, as they do like frequent watering. Growing them on swale means they will be able to enjoy rainwater for a little longer, as opposed to being planted just on slope where the water quickly runs down the slope. Next, we have plum trees, and we also wanted them to grow on swales so that we can reduce the number of times we need to irrigate them. As an experiment, we planted 1 plum closer to a second swale on a mild slope to see a difference in taste and production. Next to apricots, on the second swale, we've got mulberries. And I could have mentioned them in the beginning when discussing drought-tolerant trees such as pomegranates and figs, as they are very, very hardy trees and can produce good fruits in dry conditions. They will do great on the second swale, as above them there is no other swale, so no extra water will be flowing from above. Um, we also plan to buy plenty of other mulberry trees and plant them below olive trees in area where we want to have a pasture for goats. And goats love mulberry fruits and leaves, so they can forage happily and stay under shade. We won't be picking mulberries from that far for our needs. That's why we decided to have two trees on swale close to our house. And they should taste slightly better than mulberries on slope. Lastly, on the third swale, we've got apples, as they really need a lot of water. The rainwater slowly released from the irrigation pond to all three swiles will guarantee them moist condition for long periods of time. And finally, we have pears next to apples, as they are also dependent on water, especially in hot summer days. We are left with planting berry bushes, and we'll show you where we've planted them in the next video. That's all for now. I hope you got some value out of this presentation. If you've got any questions, post them below the video and I will respond to you. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel to not miss any future videos. See you in the next one. Bye.